lovely Mountain View, California, near the break special. We're going to see FriendFeed, which is a really interesting Twitter-like service for all your activities online. I like it a lot. So here we are at FriendFeed. It's in an office park, but it's kind of a funky one, which are my preference here in Silicon Valley. All right, boys, this is your place. You've only 11. Hello, FriendFeed people. Look at you, working away. Get back to work. So you got your bean bag right here. Yeah. So you're in this office here with just 12 employees.
Actually 11. And,
11.
2 are remote. Gary's here from Seattle.
Hi, Gary.
Today.
How you doing?
And, one lives in Rochester, New York.
So why'd you locate in Mountain View?
That's a good question. It's cheaper than Palo Alto.
Right.
And I think 9 of us worked at Google before.
Oh my goodness.
And so
they're sucking talent out of Google. They'll come and get you.
It's a constant commute.
They're on their way with the team of assassins, Larry and Sergey's team of assassins, to come and get you. So this is a really lovely thing. So you work out of here? Expansion?
Yeah, this is mainly sort of our back end.
Right, back end is over here. Okay.
And everyone else is sort of front end.
Oh, I like that it's so small. It's very comforting to know that all that information is from a very small group of people. Thanks, boys.
Thanks.
Yeah. This is the secret strategy for FriendFeed.
Every couple of weeks, someone changes who it should be good for.
Yes, this is good for FriendFeed. This is not good for FriendFeed.
No.
Very unhealthy. You're bringing your bad Google habits here.
We actually have so much Halloween candy. There's a cauldron of Halloween candy.
Oh my God. Well, there's some fruit, so that's good.
Pixie sticks and fruit.
Excellent.
All the
food groups. All the food groups, exactly. Look at that. Excellent. I think I'll have a pixie stick. All right, I'm here at FriendFeed. Boys, introduce yourselves.
I'm Paul Buchheit.
And I'm Brett Taylor.
Founders of FriendFeed. Explain, very briefly for the people at home, what FriendFeed is.
So I'm going to take that one.
Sure.
FriendFeed lets you see all the things that people in your social network have shared recently. So
right.
When you log on to FriendFeed, you'll see all the links, all the videos, all the things they've shared from Google Reader, aggregated into one feed.
So things from Flickr or Facebook
exactly.
and things like that.
So you can basically see what everyone that you know has been up to lately and all the stuff that they've been reading lately, and have discussions about it.
And Paul, why is that important? Why is that?
Well, it just makes it easier to keep up with your friends, and also it makes it very easy for you to likewise share things with your friends. So you can automatically pull in if you're uploading photos to Flickr, or if you just want to post things directly on FriendFeed. So
because you used to have to go to all those places individually, or else send out endless emails.
And maybe your friends don't use Flickr, or your friends don't use SmugMug, or whatever it is, and this way it all just comes together in one place, and then people can likewise access it from anywhere. So if they want to see it from inside of Facebook, or from inside of their email client, or from iGoogle, or from our website, or from IM, or from any of the many interfaces we've built, that's no problem. Now,
this whole idea of social networking has gotten so hot. What is interesting about it from you guys? You were working on a cloud computing thing after you left Google. You're both from Google. You were Paul was an early Google person, and Brett, you got there through an acquisition. What was you were working on cloud computing? Why did you go for this?
Yeah, so the thing that most interested me about the social networking wasn't just the social aspects. You know, I already know who my friends are. You know, I don't need to list it in a computer database to know that. You know, but it was really interesting as a distribution mechanism. You know, they represent people that I know whose interests and values that I share. So when I was working this cloud computing thing, I built this little thing on the side to keep track of the articles that my friends were sharing from Google Reader and Bookmarky and Delicious, just so I could kind of see what people in the technology industry and my coworkers were up to and what they were thinking about. And I realized that this was a really powerful tool because basically using your social network as a filter for information was an incredibly good and high quality signal. You know, of all the 2,000 articles about how to optimize a MySQL query, the one from
I'm always pulling that story.
I know, it's a really popular topic.
Yeah, that was a great one.
But you know, if I just search for it on Google, I'll get 200 links and have to sift through them all and try to judge the authenticity and quality of a source. If Sanjeev shares a link, he's a genius. So I know this is very high quality, and so that.
So you let other people do the searching for you.
Exactly, and so the idea is that you use your social network as a filter for content. So your social network isn't just purely about being social; it's sort of a mechanism for content discovery. And the nice part about it is it really captures what I think is the natural social tendencies of discovering content. You know, back in the old days of reading paper newspapers, you would read an article and you'd be sitting at dinner and you'd say, did you read that interesting article?
Right.
Let's talk about it.
Right.
Or if you're my family, let's argue about it.
Right.
And now, you know, if you find an interesting article, you can post it to FriendFeed and people that you know can comment on it. You can have that social interaction that you've always wanted. So, I mean, what's really classic is there'll be some science story in sort of the mainstream press, and some actual scientist that's my friend from Stanford will say, that's a crock of, you know, you know so what, this is actually what's going on, they oversimplify. And all of a sudden, reading information on the internet isn't this isolated antisocial thing.
Right.
It's a social thing. It's what it sort of always should be.
Right.
And what's great about it is too, like I always bring up the fact that, you know, when you find some link and it says, you know, funny cat video on YouTube, click here. Would I actually click it? But if it said 3 of your friends and your mom liked this video on YouTube. Sure. You definitely click it because it's been vetted essentially by your social network. So it's a really powerful signal.
You're organizing information, helping people organize their own information essentially. Yeah. Where does that go from there, Paul? What's happening in that idea? Because the web is huge. Google is useful to an extent and will always be powerful as a search tool, but making sense of it, I think, is really difficult.
Right. Google is great for if you're looking for a specific fact. You know, you go to Google and you've got it within.
What time is it in blank?
Right, exactly. But some of these other questions of just what's going on in the world, what's interesting, you know, you can't really answer that with a search query. And so with FriendFeed, the data is coming to you. You know, your friend shares a cat video or a picture of their baby, and that's important not just because that information is relevant to you, but because it creates a social context. So then maybe later on when you see your friend at dinner or whatever else, you know, they might say, hey, did you see that funny YouTube video? And that's actually become increasingly important as the media fragments. Right. You know, in the past, when there was only everyone read the local newspaper or
there was no commonality.
Right. There was only 3 TV channels. We were all watching the same thing. There wasn't a million YouTube videos. There wasn't every newspaper in the world. There wasn't you know, a billion blogs or whatever.
The classic thing, actually, we always talked about the whole idea of a water cooler discussion. I don't know. I'm sure it was used before, but it was talked about during Seinfeld. Like everyone would watch a Seinfeld episode
and
they talk around the water cooler. I don't know if there's actually water coolers, but they would say.
Although there are events like the Tina Fey videos.
Of course. But now you can actually have that water cooler experience, even if it's that like one random YouTube video with a nerdy professor talking about global warming that you and your geeky friends are into. Right. And all of a sudden you get that Seinfeld experience, even though it's on YouTube and it was one of 1 billion videos.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense.
Because I shared it and then I know that my friends see it on FriendFeed. And so even we have a discussion on FriendFeed, or maybe we have a discussion in person, you know, later on at dinner or at lunch or whenever that takes place.
So business plan. I know you guys are self-funded. Primarily self-funded, $5 million. You guys are a very small office here. I'm going to do a little tour in a minute.
We also have some funding from Benchmark.
It's a small amount, Benchmark, yes, but it's small, and they don't bother you that much. Where do you see it? What's the business of it? I mean, do you want to sell the company, or do you want to just create this cool
we're really
feature?
Focused more on the long term, and so part of that, you know, as you mentioned, the funding that enables us to focus more on the long term. This isn't something where we need to have an answer this year. Right. We can grow slowly. We can build a very loyal and happy user base, and we can find ways that are contextually relevant, and I mean that in the contextually appropriate to introduce advertising or something of that sort. And the fact that there is so much discussion, I think, around things like products is, to me, very suggestive of the ability
possibly, but not right now because nobody's selling advertising, and you don't have to.
Right, and so, but fortunately, we have that luxury of taking our time to grow.
And finally, who do you consider your competitors? Who's in this? I mean, there's pieces of Facebook, pieces of Twitter.
Sure, there's a lot of similar companies, but you know, it's funny. Our biggest competitor, I think, is actually just kind of whatever it is people are already doing. You know, they're emailing links to their friends. If I take a picture of my baby, I'll like email it to my parents or whatever it is. And I think the biggest threat almost to any startup is just that people don't need the product at all, and they just keep doing whatever it was.
That's right. That's right. Old behavior.
And so that's what we actually focus the most on.
Right.
We basically are a new product category. I think actually since the history, I think there's a cover of Wired that's pretty famous. Like Push is the new big thing.
I was there.
On the boom. And
so I knew Chris Hassett.
Yeah,
Chris Hassett was my friend.
this concept of content discovery has been something I think
absolutely
Silicon Valley has been interested in for a long time, and I think the concept is very compelling because just like when we talk about business model, the reason television stations make money is because they're sort of a distribution channel for content, and so that idea of push is very compelling for a lot of business people for that reason. What's interesting is what's, I think, changed in the past 5 years is the generation of user-generated content and sort of be the primary form of content on the internet, and also the evolution of RSS and syndication formats, which lets you sort of aggregate that content on third-party products. And so I think that that's sort of, that's really sort of the direction we're going.
Sure.
That, really
we're back to push.
Yeah.
And on that note, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.